My friends, today we have a lot of important things to discuss. We go through everything from seasons, scenarios and transfers in Once Human. And trust me, after this video you'll be an expert in all of these topics. And hey, if you still have any questions left, throw in a comment and I promise you that I will do my best to answer. Enough talking, let's dive right in. Let's start with servers. And servers is where everything happens. They contain a scenario, and it's there you will have fun playing with your friends. But more on that later. Now let's just focus on the servers for a while. And servers are split on different regions, and you can choose in the list here what region you want to play in. But be cautious, if you make a character on a server in, for example, Europe, the same character cannot be transferred to another region later. If you want to change region, you need to create a new character on a server in that region. So if you look at the server here, and on the side here, we can see the date and time when the server opens. And we can also see for how many days it has been open. And this one has been open for 2 days. And why should we care about this? Well, that is because then we know when we can start playing. And something else to take notice is this icon next to the server name. If it is red, it means the server is full. When it's yellow, it is almost full, but still has some spots left. And what does it mean when there's no icon? It means that there are many spots available. And now for 2 important numbers to take note of, the number 14 and 7. Why? Because most servers stops new sign up after 14 days or when they are full. However, servers for the Prismverse Clash scenario have a shorter cutoff period of just 7 days. If you want to join a full server before the cutoff, it is still possible. To do so, you will need a special invitation code from someone already playing on that server. And by the way, there are limited spots available for invitation codes, which means that it doesn't always work. But it never hurts to try. And now it is time to move on to scenarios. So let's talk about scenarios. A server contains a specific scenarios, and scenarios describe the gameplay theme and rules of the server. Each scenario takes place in a parallel universe that can have different maps, events and rules. And currently there are 4 different scenarios in Once Human, and more will be added in the future. Let's talk about the scenarios available now, to make it easier for you to choose which one that fits your playstyle. First is Manibus, that is a PvE scenario with a lot of explore areas, silos and bosses, and a quite large map that you will gradually unlock. At the endgame you can take part in Prismverse and fight Manibus together with other players on the same server. It is a popular scenario, and especially if you enjoy PvE, where many things can be completed both with friends or as a solo player. The second scenario is Evolution's Call, and it takes place on the same map as Manibus, and the base content of the scenario is similar to Manibus as well. However, instead of Prismverse there are PvP events like Airdrop Conquest. In this event, Echo Stones are dropped at various locations around the world. You can capture and purify them in your territory, and you will be flagged for PvP when you do it. There is also Stronghold Conquest, where you can join a warband and fight over territory control and resources. All the PvP content are optional to take part in, so this scenario is great if you want a softer introduction to PvP in Once Human. The next PvP scenario is called Prismverse Clash. It takes part on a smaller part of the same map as Manibus and Evolution's Call. It is faster to level up here and focuses on faction PvP, where the player can choose to play as Rosetta or as Mayfly. There are safe zones on the map, but a large part is forced PvP, and you are automatically flagged for PvP when you enter these areas. You fight to capture and secure deviations, and by interrupting the deviation securement of the opposite faction. If you look for a scenario with really strong focus on faction PvP, this is the scenario for you. Finally, we have Way of Winter, that is a PvE scenario that takes place on a different map compared to the other 3 scenarios we talked about. In this scenario, it is important to manage hot and cold temperatures. And there are new explore areas, silos and bosses compared to the other map. And at endgame you can work in a team to build a thermal tower and unlock perks for your territories. And you can also fight big chaos weavers that roams around in the world. So if you are looking for PvE with more survival mechanics, this is a great scenario for you. Manibus and Evolution's Call also have 3 different difficulties. First there is Novice, that is the entry level that gives a chill introduction to the game, since the enemies are really easy to defeat. It is a good mode if you are new to the game and want to learn and explore in a more relaxed way. Important to notice that you cannot replay the Novice difficulty on the same character. And then we have normal mode, where the enemies are a bit harder. It is a great mode if you already feel comfortable with these kind of games, but still want a bit more chill PvE experience. And finally there is hard mode with even more difficult enemies. And here energy and hydration loss rates are increased, so you need to eat and drink more often. This is a good mode if you want a bit more challenge in your PvE gameplay. Normal and hard difficulty also have super anomalies scattered around the world. These require different weapon damage types to be countered. You can find information about the different super anomalies and how to counter them in the scenario and seasonal details, here under season tags. And if you continue here on the scenario features, you can find a list of deviation that drops in the scenario. And these can be different depending on the scenario you are choosing. Most of the time these lists have been correct except once when it was a bit buggy. So with this you never need to wonder again what deviation that drops in which scenario. So what scenario will you choose? And if you have been playing Once Human for a while, what is your favorite scenario? Please let us know in the comments. Now let's move on to seasons. So what is a season? A season defines the progression cycle of a scenario and can have different length depending on the scenario. A season consists of different phases and each phase lasts for around 7 to 10 days. You find information about phases by pressing escape and go to your scenario information. And here under phase you can find information about the phases of your scenario. And the amount of phases can also be different depending on the scenario. If you look at Manibus for example, it has 6 phases. And each phase can either unlock more parts of the map, new events or higher difficulties. And the last phase of a season is the settlement phase. And this phase lasts for around 4 weeks. In this phase you have 3 options. You can directly sign up and join to play in a new scenario. Or you can continue playing on your server and sign up for a new scenario at any time before the server closes. And then start playing on the new scenario. And finally you can continue to play on the server until it closes and choose not to sign up for a new scenario. And when the server closes, your character will be teleported to Eternaland. If you want to leave a scenario before it reaches a settlement phase, it is possible to do so. If you go to scenario information, and season goals, and season shop, and here under other there is a scenario exit card that you can buy for 100 Mitsuko marks. And this can be used to leave a scenario early. This is really great if you don't like your current scenario and want to try another one. Or if you want to start fresh on a new server with friends who just started playing. But remember to use it wisely. After using it, there is a 30-day cooldown before you can leave a scenario early again. And the cost and cooldown have been changed before and can be changed in the future. If there is a change, I will add a pinned comment to the video. A lot of people are wondering about what the difference really is between scenarios and seasons. And now that we have talked about both, let's summarize it. Scenarios describe the gameplay content, map and rules of the server. And scenarios are for example Manibus and Way of Winter. Seasons on the other hand describe the life cycle of the scenario and it contains different phases. Each phase can unlock new parts of the map, new events of the scenario, or new difficulties like hard mode silos. And now let's move on to Eternaland. Eternaland is your permanent private place that lasts forever. You can unlock it at around level 20 and you are able to visit it during and between seasons. A lot of the items that you got from previous seasons are stored here, for example your deviations, and you can transfer them to your new season. In Eternaland you can be creative and build and design it however you like it. You can also bring your friends to hang out here and visit other places in Eternaland. I have a video that I recommend you to watch if you want to find out more about Eternaland. And by the way, if you found this video helpful so far, please leave a like. And up next we will talk about season signups. So you can sign up for a new scenario when your season reaches the settlement phase, or by using a scenario exit card. Or if your character is in Eternaland and not in an ongoing scenario. You can either sign up to a server that is already open and join it and start playing directly. The other option is to register in advance for a specific scenario. The registration is time limited and after it ends, a 24-hour lock-in period begins. When the lock-in period has ended, servers for that scenario will launch based on the number of players that have signed up. And it will also determine the number of servers that will be available for that scenario. Remember that if you cancel your registration during the lock-in period, you will lose your advanced registration spot for that round. If you register during the lock-in period, you will be included in the next round instead. For Prismverse Clash it is a bit different. You need to choose a faction when signing up or choose to be assigned to a random faction. Servers will decide whether to open at a scheduled time based on overall player numbers and faction balance. If conditions are met, the servers will open as planned. But if not enough players have signed up, the server opening might be delayed for a bit. You can also sign up with friends by inviting your friends to form a team in the registration phase. The team members will then follow to the same server as the team leader. This means that everyone in the team are guaranteed to be able to play on the same server together. This is really awesome, especially since there have been problems in the past where sometimes not all friends have been able to sign up before the server became full. So it is really great that they've added this. Now let's talk about what transfers between seasons. So let's talk about what transfers between seasons. And the short answer to that is the important stuff. But if we take a deeper look, there are some things that transfer automatically between seasons. And these are your character and cosmetics. And most currencies will be automatically transferred as well. Like for example our hardware and star crumbs, sproutlets and stellar planulas. Gear and weapon blueprints and their fragments, mods and weapon accessory are also always automatically transferred. And same for the house blueprints, furniture formulas and food recipes. And also seasonal rewards like the seasonal sheet patterns. If you have already played a scenario and will play it again, you can choose to play it in simplified mode. When you play in that mode, you don't need to do the quest you have already completed. You can just go to the quest location and collect the reward. And event progress and rewards should automatically carry over between seasons as well. But I always claim them before I transfer just to be sure. Other items are automatically transferred to Eternaland storage after the season has ended. And these are weapons, armors, materials, deviations and calibration blueprints. Important to notice that your energy links will be converted into astral sand, a currency used in Eternaland. So when you join a new season, you can find these items in your space-time backpack. And if you go to inherit resources, you can choose to transfer some of them to the new season. However, it costs material points. And you currently get 20,000 material points per season that can be used to transfer items from Eternaland into the new season. And there are some things that wipes after the season ends, your map exploration progress and your character experience. And also scenario specific items like staroids, and items crafted using mimetic specialization like solar drills. However, all in all, we get to keep the important stuff. Up next, I will summarize the season system gameplay process. Now we have been talking about a lot of stuff, seasons, scenarios, servers and more. Now let's talk about how it all works together in the gameplay process. If you are a new player, the first thing you need to do is decide what region you want to play in. And then you need to choose a scenario and then pick a server for that scenario. After that, you can start playing when the season opens. And now when you as a new player or as someone already playing the game are playing in a scenario, there are some options for what we can do next. If the scenario is not our cup of tea, we can buy and use an exit card to leave the scenario early and sign up for a new one. Otherwise we can keep playing until the settlement phase. In the settlement phase, we can sign up for a new scenario that is already open and transfer to it and start playing directly. Or we can register in advance for a new scenario, alone or as a team of friends. And then we can transfer and join it once it opens. If we don't want to sign up for a new scenario, we can continue playing until the server closes and then we transfer to Eternaland. So this is how the process works. Now let's move on and answer some common questions. Now let's answer some common questions from the community. And the first question is, will I lose my base after the season ends? Many people have spent a lot of time building their base during the scenario and are afraid to lose it after the season ends. And the answer is yes, you will lose your base. However, the last base you built before leaving a season will be automatically saved as a blueprint. And you can always save the blueprints of your bases throughout the season if you build something you want to keep the design for. And then when you join a new scenario, and once you have the amount of materials needed and the mimetic points unlocked, you can use the blueprint to build your base again in the new season. The next question is, my friends are already playing, how can I play with them? And there are many people that are wondering about how to play with friends. I have provided different options throughout the video, but let's summarize it. If your friends are already playing on a server that has not been open for 14 days and they still have spots available, you can just join and play with them on the server directly. If the server is full but has not been open for 14 days, you can get an invitation code from any of your friends already playing on that server and try to use that one and join. However, it does not always work if those spots have already been taken. If the server is full and there are no invitation code spots, or if the server has been open for more than 14 days, the option is that the friends leave the scenario early using a scenario exit card, and then all of you can join a new server and play there. If you and your friends are already playing together on the server, and want to make sure that you will be playing on the same server the next season, you can register together as a team for the next scenario. Hopefully this answers all the questions you have regarding how to play with friends. Up next we have the question, how do I know when a season starts and ends? And this is not global, and seasons can start and end at different times. When you choose a scenario, there is information when the season opens, and it can be different on different servers. When the season ends, it's also different depending on what scenario you are playing and how many and how long the phases are. What you can do is check the phase information and see when your current phase ends. The next question is, I play on Manibus but cannot reach Tallgrass Inn, while other players in, for example, Discord say they can. Why is that? And this relates to the previous question. Different servers start on different time. One server can be days or weeks ahead of other servers, and because of that, the server can be in a different phase and have unlocked more content or more parts of the map. In this case, we can see that for Manibus, the entire map is unlocked in phase 2. If your server already is in phase 2 but you still can't access the area, it could be because you have not completed the story quest needed to progress there. The fifth question is, how can I earn more material points? Material points are used to transfer items from Eternaland into a new season. There is currently no way to obtain more of these points. You get 20,000 material points per season, and they last only for that season and cannot be transferred. Next question is, what exactly do I need to prepare before leaving a season? In theory nothing, it will all be sorted out automatically. However, since the Eternaland storage is limited, it is a good idea to break down your base and sell materials that you don't need before leaving. If your Eternaland storage is full, items might end up in a temporary backpack and be deleted after some time if room for them has not been made. Just remember to be cautious about that. Also take in any deviations or single-use furniture or collectibles. There have been bugs with this before that now should have been fixed. However, it is always a good idea to do this to avoid losing anything. And here's another tip. If you know that you will take a longer break from the game, make sure that your character is about level 20 and have unlocked Eternaland before leaving. There's been issues with this as well in the past, when people have returned after leaving a low-level character and not been able to join a new scenario. So it is a good idea to do this to avoid problems when returning to the game. And the last question is, I have joined a new scenario and want to transfer a particular deviation, but I cannot find it. It can be because you have too many deviations in your Eternaland storage. And you can see a warning sign next to inherit resources in your space-time backpack if that is the case. You can try to sell or give away some deviations you know you won't be needing, or place them in storage crates in Eternaland. Then the deviation you are looking for should show up and you are able to transfer it. So this is it. Do you have any other questions? Please let us know in the comments and we will try our best to answer them. Thank you everyone for watching and have a nice day.